episode. Stay tuned. We're going to have Wayne Black come up immediately. He's joined us to talk about all of the mayhem and vandalism and what's going on college campuses across the country still today, as we are seeing. In addition to that, we discussed the SAVE Act. If you're not familiar with what the SAVE Act is, you're probably going to be almost pissed off you have to introduce an act like this, but we'll discuss it and talk about it. A serial liar and general scumbag takes a stand in Alvin Braggs' case against Trump in Manhattan. A federal
one
judge
just came off.
Federal who's told the truth so far. Federal judge pisses off Dems. We'll tell you about that. The secret to victory for Republicans in 2024 is right in front of us, and it happens sooner than the election. We'll talk about that. There's 2 more black racists out there. I can't believe it. Jim's going to tell us what that's all about. Trump now leading in 5 battleground states. It's close, and we don't believe that. Jim, it's a bloodbath. I don't know what that's about, but you're going to tell us. And San Francisco's buying vodka shots. For who?
Yes.
We'll tell you that. That, plus stay tuned right away for our interview with Wayne Black on another amazing, fan favorite, award-winning episode of what, Jimmy?
2 guys, 1 coup.
Yeah.
Please like, follow, and share on Rumble. And I believe we are still on YouTube for the time being. It's not come off. And you could also catch us, listen to us on any of the other podcasts. But as Dale likes to say, why would you want to listen to us when you can see this?
Welcome to the 2 Guys, 1 Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of 2 average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Eye candy, brother.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, all those sites that you get your video. So is that okay?
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, you remembered. Good job. I appreciate you pausing there. So I did it right? Cut and edit, too.
Well, now we pause. So now you're going to say, let's go into there. Boom. I just schooled you.
Jim, let's start off the show. We had our friend Wayne Black on to talk about all this bullshit going on in the college campuses with these entitled students and paid actors, which we now know are directly paid from the Soros and the Gates Foundation, right?
And don't forget Rockefeller.
And can we say Zuckerberg, even though there's no...
Yeah, it's there somewhere. I mean,
it's there, 100% there. Yeah. Stay tuned for here's our interview with Wayne, and we'll be back. We got a lot more to talk about. To show off today by having Wayne Black on to discuss the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic protests that are going on around the college campuses still today, weeks into this and still happening. Wayne, of course, for those listeners who know, is the author of the book School Insecurities. It's just a step-by-step guide on how to protect your children in the public school systems these days. Also, a securities expert. We couldn't think of anybody else who would know more about what maybe should take place and what's been happening on the college campuses than Wayne, and he's got a lot to say about it. Wayne, thank you again. Good friend to us, good friend of the show. We appreciate you hopping on to discuss this. I want to start off real quick. I'm just going to play a video for us all. There's not a lot of sound to it, but it's over the weekend at the UNC Chapel Hill Chancellor's office. These peaceful protests took another turn, as they all have been, and destruction took place. Vandalism took place. Let's take a look at this and see what we're talking about here, if you hadn't seen it. So here we go. Protesters. You'll notice something here, Wayne, and Jim, if you hadn't seen this before. But so right here, fascists have a very difficult time spelling fascist backwards, just so you know. But you hear the chanting in the background. They're taking red paint. That's all red paint that they're plastering all over the chancellor's office.
Take a look at that tent. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course,
not
they're
many
Palestine.
tents for all those people to stay in either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look at this. And they're so brave with their masks on, too. We're almost done here. So that's the typical thing that is happening across campuses. That's tame almost compared to what we've seen at USC, at George Washington University, you name it. You mentioned the tent, Wayne. You want to start with that and just give us your thoughts on that particular shot in the video?
Sure, we could. Well, if you look at the tents, first of all, on a macro level, the way the media is covering this, it has just blown out the crisis at the border. So we're not really focused on that anymore, are we? We're worried. We're looking more at this in a way, a modified freak show at colleges. But those tents, we're not paying attention to it, and also the Antifa involvement. Those tents are all the same. Some of those are $400 or $500 tents that come from REI, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops. There's no way that a bunch of college kids went out and all bought the exact same colored tent. So they're getting those from an NGO or somebody else, and I'm wondering if Justice Department is following the money. I doubt it. This is all by prohibiting Jewish kids from coming on campus. This is all a civil rights violation. Title 18, Section 1983. It's a civil rights violation, and in George Floyd and all the other police-related shootings, the Civil Rights Division of Justice was all over it with the 1983 violation. That we hear nothing about this.
Correct.
And I think in terms of education, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that or maybe they do, or maybe they're spun up.
If you look at some of the interviews with them, they don't know.
Yeah,
they have no idea.
They're promoting a terrorist organization.
Right.
And remember, for your listeners, Hamas goes back as a fundraising arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. If any of your listeners will Google Hitler plus Muslim Brotherhood, they will see the Muslim Brotherhood Mufi meeting with Adolf Hitler. So that's their underlying goal, the destruction of all Jews and the state of Israel. And then Hamas and Hezbollah, one is Sunni, one is Shia, they morphed into these other terrorist groups sponsored today by Iran. So it's just a matter of time. I unfortunately believe, I'm afraid, that we have some physical incident. And the other thing that worries me, guys, is the fact that police have to be invited in. That is so much BS. It's one thing to be invited in to get rid of trespassers. Let's take Newark. Let's take Columbia. Okay, the victim or the school has to say these people are trespassing. Please get them out of there. But they don't have to invite police in if there's a felony.
Correct.
A felony like burglary of the library, and kidnapping of the janitor. That's a felony. So I don't know what NYPD is even thinking. Maybe it's the mayor who whatever it is.
Okay. So a directive from somebody else, I think.
What about what about like campuses like UNC, right, where it's a public campus? do they have to be invited to come onto those campuses, or since it's a public, can they just come in?
Of course they can. They can come in, and they have for years to dispel rioting and unrest and to save people. And what about the Jewish kids? They have rights to and from, unfettered rights, so they don't get hurt. If you look what happened in Florida, University of Florida started a little uprising. It lasted about a minute and a half.
Yep, that's right.
Because the governor told the troops, we're not going to put up with it. He also said in no uncertain terms to the heads of the state universities, if you don't handle it, I'll put somebody in there who can handle it.
Yep. So it can be done. It can be done directly from the state level and the local levels within the cities themselves. Of course it can be, right?
Yeah. Look, it does. Look, think of the concept. So private property in the United States, you're telling us that the police don't have jurisdiction?
Yeah.
So you can commit felonies with impunity on private property while the police are watching and they're not going to do anything? That's ridiculous. Correct. That's not the law. That's not the case. So when they broke in at Columbia, they burglarized the library.
Yes.
The student center. The police should have come in and grabbed them at the time. And when they kidnapped the janitor, they should have rescued him. They had a hostage situation. They should have forcibly rescued him. And the fact that this is spreading, there's been like 10,000 arrests across the country. And they're arrested, they get back out, they go right back out.
Correct.
But also, if you look at the videos, this is what frightens me. Look at the Antifa guys, dressed all in black. They're in uniform. The kids are not, right? And why here's the other interesting thing. Why aren't we publishing the mugshots and the names and the history of the Antifa people?
None of them.
It's one thing not to publish the juvenile's name, somebody under 18. Okay. But why don't we publish that? We sure do it with other crimes.
Most every other crime is published like that. That's a good point, Wayne.
I'm really concerned about what's going on. It's growing and nobody's stopping it. There's no cause and effect. Nobody's saying, if you're going to do this, you're going to be in trouble.
Yep, correct. Yeah, there is none. And is that well, we know it's on purpose and by design, right? We found out recently that the majority of those protesting aren't students. We know that it's Antifa members, it's paid actors, it's people who come in and are funded. You could say by Soros, or you could say by, I don't know, who, but
finding out the Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller.
Yeah, I mean, we found out a lot so far, and like you had mentioned about it taken away from the border crisis. What was that intent? You think that's what its intent was, or do you think that's just the byproduct of the protests right now?
I think it's a byproduct. I'm guessing. Who knows how nefarious it is? But look, when all the media cover the college protests, they energize it. Everybody wants to be on TV, and the kids want to have a cause, and they don't understand the big picture. But by doing that, even the little journalists that you see taking photographs of the vandalism, with their cameras, the pop-up internet journalists, that sort of energizes these people to do bad things. None of these are peaceful protests. When they start painting things and doing damage, that's vandalism.
Correct.
That's a crime, and nobody's held accountable for it. Those are crimes in progress.
Yes. Yep. Crimes like as soon as the hands with paint are on a building, they should be in handcuffs and taken away.
Right.
100%.
Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be wrong about this. Maybe it's just certain areas they have their own laws, but to do a protest, don't you have to have a permit?
You're supposed to have a demonstration permit in a lot of jurisdictions. That's to use the street or the sidewalks, or public parks.
Okay, but it's not. Okay, so the campuses and stuff, that would just be to me, it's trespassing, but I don't know.
Well, on campuses, remember what we try to do in terms of security on campuses, we open them to students because we give them little name tags. But none of those Antifa guys have name tags. So every single one of those guys are trespassing to begin with.
Correct. Correct.
The big thing is that the Jewish students in a lot of these places are afraid to go to school.
Yes.
They're not allowed. They're keeping them out. And if anybody knows history, this is exactly how the Holocaust started.
Correct.
At colleges, right?
Yeah.
Jewish kids were not allowed to go to college, and then it morphed and grew and grew, and it was a snowball effect, and then resulting in the Holocaust.
Yep.
So, like Netanyahu says, never again is now. Never again is now over there.
Yeah.
But never again is now right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is funny because they're yelling fascists to Fox News reporters, right? They're calling them fascists while the chants in the background are from the river to the sea. This is I don't want to say ignorant anymore, because this is plain stupidity. They just don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing. And it's whether it's the education system right now that's doing this, or whether it's the professors in college. But Wayne, security from your standpoint, is there a concern that some of this could get into some high schools? Maybe you could have some high school kids decide, you know what, this looks like what we should do. Do you think that's possible, or is that just overreaching a little bit?
Not at all. That's a good point. And every high school in the country should be having a plan and bracing for this to happen. And they've got to stop it immediately when it starts, because after it starts, it takes on a life of its own. Correct. It's like a virus. Yeah. And it's just terrible. We have to stop it unilaterally across the country, or it'll keep on doing this into in the next year. It's just and eventually this is going to result in real violence. I mean, it's been violent so far. People have been hurt, but I mean real violence. Yeah. And imagine how energized Hamas and Hezbollah are. Correct. When they're watching television. They have TVs over there. They're watching television. They look at all these people, so they're energized that they have support in the United States.
Correct. Yep. Correct. Support for a terrorist regime. That the ones that I love the most are when they are interviewing gay students that are at the protests. I mean, who will literally be beheaded, murdered, or at least at a bare minimum imprisoned for life, but it's punishable by death in Iran, homosexuality, and there they are chanting those, and we see through it. I mean, we see what it's for. We see what they're trying to accomplish. Why does this stem from the upbringing, or is this just people that are just like, I'm going to join a cause. I'm not the guy. I'm not the boy who made the fraternity, and so I'm just kind of out here by myself. And I've got a group of people that I can join. Is it the lost, or is it just the recruited that are that are doing this? Because it's almost shocking to see it.
Victor Davis Hanson talks a lot about this. This is decades of allowing socialist professors and educators to indoctrinate our kids in college. And the professors were indoctrinated at some point, and they just bring that in. And yet our tax dollars still go. Correct. 50 million to Harvard, 50 million to Yale, and we just keep giving them tax dollars. There's a specific part of the law that allows Congress to withhold funding to any schools that violate rights because of race, religion, national origin. And they should execute that and withhold funds.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Which is a good start. But then you see what happened we could turn this into what happened recently with the administration, where they are withholding funds and armory to Israel, where they stop shipments of that from happening. That, I understand, completely placates to the progressive left wing of the administration, the Rashid Tlaibs, the Ilhan Omars, and what message is that also sending to Hamas, to Iran? to, we funded, does anybody remember the millions of dollars on pallets that went to Iran? I mean, we are funding this, so.
We didn't, but remember that was during the Obama administration.
Yes.
We dropped the pallets of cash.
Yes.
If a dope guy did that, we would say that was money laundering.
Correct.
If the money was legitimate, we could have transferred it by bank transfer.
Of course.
But it was money laundering. Yeah, we funded them, and then Trump withheld and took a bunch of money, and Iran was on its knees, and now we're funding them again.
Yes.
And what message does it send? But look, that's what this guy has done, right? With the quid pro quo thing.
Correct.
Remember, if you don't fire the prosecutor who's investigating my son, I'm going to hold back U.S. dollars.
Yep. He's got a long history of this.
And it's the same thing here. If you don't stop because I want to get elected in Michigan, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to unlawfully slow down munitions that Congress approved. That's unlawful. But
correct.
Did it anyway.
It's impeachable. Yes. Absolutely 100% impeachable. What's the answer at this point? Besides law enforcement having to step in, but then you have people above. I don't want to blame law enforcement at all on this, because somebody's directing them to either not go in or to stand on the sidelines and watch it happen. What's got to take place at this point?
Well, the answer is an administration that goes with law and order and allows the Justice Department and law enforcement around the country to do their job. The laws are there, and they need to. The whole purpose of law enforcement is to maintain law and order. In this case, mostly order.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the answer. It's not going to get any better. I'm worried that this is going to morph into some kind of secondary 9/11, because just think about this. Look who we've led in the country.
Correct.
So we have colleges now in support of Hamas and Hezbollah against the Jews, and we've got all these illegals coming in. God knows where they are, what they're doing. Nobody's tracking them really.
Yeah.
What if we have a complex, coordinated attack at schools? It would take us to our knees.
Yeah, it absolutely would. Absolutely, it would. Wayne, well, we wanted you on because we wanted to get your opinion on it and what takes place and what's happening. No better person to kind of talk to about it than you, because you are, let's just go into your background again for those who might be just listening to you. You wrote a book called School Insecurity. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. It's a book for parents and grandparents. It's a guidebook, and also educators. And there's my assessment tool. We can't be everywhere. My assessment tool is in the book. And just like what's happening at schools, parents and grandparents and educators need to stand up. You know what's right. We need to stand up and make it happen. Do what's right. Protect our kids. There's no reason for a child to be hurt in a school. There's a bunch of reasons, but there's not one good reason.
Correct.
Not money, it shouldn't happen. Especially now in this environment, we really have to be careful. And if our kids aren't safe in school, we need to move them, put them in a private school or homeschool them.
Yep.
We only have one child.
Well, and now I think we're seeing it even more so, because if you don't, and it's we talk about the school safety and active shooters and potential bomb threats in schools and all that, but there's an even bigger thing going on as well, which is just the indoctrinating their minds to lead to this, what we're seeing now in college. That alone is a case for homeschooling to me, or getting in some sort of Christian school or private school. Not only are they generally safer, if I'm not speaking out of turn on that, you're raising better children. You're raising children who know right from wrong, and the actual history of the world. This is insane what's happening. I daily, as I look at this, Wayne, I think about you a lot when I'm looking at these protests, because I'm like, I think Wayne would go right in there and just pretty much stop it all from happening. At least Wayne and some of his buddies, could literally stop this in an instant.
It goes back to the Giuliani approach. One rock, one arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you let it get out of control, we have to look at this in the macro. Look at what's happening generally across the country, and it has been happening. It's not getting any better.
Yep.
It's just getting worse, and we're allowing it. So a lot of us that know better aren't organized. They're organized. We're not so much.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
We're doing things like trying to fire the Speaker of the House instead of focusing on what really matters.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct.
And so we call it mission creep, but it's creeping. We're watching the degradation of our education system.
Yep, we are. And it's sad. How can people get a hold of you, Wayne, and get your book?
Well, it's at WayneBlack.com online. That's it. The book's on Amazon.
Yep.
Luckily, guys, it's been number one since it came out on Amazon for school security and crisis management.
It's awesome.
And and we'll be talking about it. I'm one of the speakers, Steve Tirani and I, at the NRA this coming weekend.
Nice.
Awesome.
So we're gonna talk about safety and prevention and things like that.
Boy,
Very
you
cool.
couldn't two better people you couldn't find talk about it. That is for sure. Wayne, it's always good to talk to you. We appreciate your knowledge and your friendship and coming on the show. You just make sense. Everything you have to say, the book makes sense. We just got to be grown up enough to stand up and stop it at this point. Stop.
It's kind of scary that we have to be here and talk about this stuff right now.
It is, but we know it, and
we're
unfortunately, we'll talk again. And not unfortunately because we don't want to talk to you, but we're going to talk again because this kind of stuff is continuing until it actually does come to a stop.
We really appreciate you guys getting the word out, getting the truth out. More people should hear the truth so they can hopefully do something about it.
100%. Well, we thank you. We thank you for all your hard work and your continued work on all of this. So very, very important. And we'll talk again soon. I know it. Stay in touch.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Wayne, as always, an amazing guest, an amazing human being in general, and
very
a guy
proud
in the
to call
know.
him friend. Very proud.
Very, very proud. Appreciate him coming on to discuss that. He had some very good takes. Jim, I learned something. I didn't know anything about connection between Hitler and the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
But he's not wrong.
And we're fascists.
And we're fascists. We're fascists. It makes sense. I mean, it couldn't be a better pairing than Hitler, I hate the Jews, and the Muslims, who hate the Jews and want them annihilated. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but I just didn't know how far back.
And after this little intro with the fascism and stuff like that, we should play the video from one of our favorite presidents. So
absolutely. So let's listen. Let's listen. Ronald Reagan had something to say about it many years ago, folks. See if it applies today, as a lot of the greats in the past have said. Hold on.
If fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
I mean, Jim,
where is he today?
Where is he?
You can see a little bit of it in President Trump, but where is it today?
He had a way. Ronald Reagan had a very, 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 very good way of getting the message across. Trump's more abrasive. I get that, but it's the same message. It's the same message. It's just Trump versus Reagan, right? No clear doubt about it. Ronald Reagan was clearly presidential. I mean, no doubt about it.
He keeps falling down.
Epitome of a president.
Every year when they do that all-time presidents list, he keeps falling down.
I know. Well, because who's doing it?
Biden were ahead of him.
Yeah. So we know where that comes from. All-time Biden. Come on. Anyways, I'm so pissed off at the world today. It's just it's unbelievable.
I'm scared.
What's happening around there? Yeah, me too. But Wayne, again, thank you for coming on.
Yes.
We really do appreciate it. Always look forward to having
always good
him
to
on.
get his insight, because it is interesting to
is.
see. When is this going to come to high schools? We haven't seen it yet, and
He's an
maybe it
expert.
won't. I hope not. But because you got kids that don't want to go to school. Let's go sit out in the yard.
That's right. Oh, and all of a sudden we have online learning again.
Yeah.
Which may happen because there's like 30 cases of the bird flu now in Colorado or something like that, or somewhere, So, what's coming up? Yeah. Something's coming up, and we all know it. Jim, let's get into this SAVE Act thing real quick.
Yeah.
This is a bill. It's called the SAVE Act, and it's
sad that it has to be a bill.
Oh, it's unbelievable to me. What is it? Talk about it a little bit, Jim, and tell what does the acronym stand for?
Well, you got me there. It just says the SAVE Act. I know. It just says the SAVE Act, and I had it in my head, and God bless it.
Didn't you?
You set me up.
It's the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act.
Thank you. Okay, so eligibility right there tells you what. Okay.
We're talking about you have to be 18 and above, right? That's what this whole bill is about?
Yeah, completely. No. Now, first of all, there is a law already. Okay, so under federal law, only citizens are allowed to vote in a federal election. Here's the tragic thing, because this is what Lee said to Maria.
You're going to say her name. You said it right.
Bartiromo.
Thank you.
Got it. He said, under federal law, only citizens are allowed to vote in federal elections. Okay. Here's the tragic thing, Maria. Over the last three and a half years since the Biden administration has been in power, they have let about 12 million illegal aliens in. The Supreme Court has interpreted it as prohibiting those at the state level who register people to vote from acquiring the production of evidence of documents proving citizenship. What that means is that a person can fill out a form as long as they check the right box and sign their name and are willing to lie. They can vote in federal elections even if they are not citizens, and they could prove it and they couldn't prove it because they're not citizens. The SAVE Act would fix that loophole. It would make sure that actually it is going to be American citizens voting in the federal elections. If that happens, this will be the biggest blowout since Reagan 49-1
Mondale
over Mondale.
Yep.
But this is what it's basically about, folks. And again, how many times do you and I say this, Dale? Why do we have to have a law?
Why do you have to have a law that
there's a law illegal? Because something happens.
Well, because they implemented a law, Biden did, HB, and I can't remember that one. I apologize. Where deep down in that law, it's every person must be counted. Doesn't say citizen, doesn't say legal. It's every person. So therefore, in the census, well, we got congressmen and we got those that are part of the Immigration Accountability Project talking about this. I have a few videos. It's going to take a minute and all, but it's really, let's just start. And they're broken up, but here's Speaker Mike Johnson, first of all, talking about it. Let's see this one. Hopefully I got it in order.
Every Senate Democrat voted to count illegal aliens in the census to help them shore up more seats in Congress and more votes in the Electoral College. And this week, House Democrats will also have an opportunity to go on record on the same issue. In recent days, we've seen a growing number of folks on student visas show their willingness to break the law and utterly disrupt our way of life and threaten law-abiding students who are actually American citizens.
Yep. Now, let's hear, I got a second one from him.
If they're willing to take over buildings and physically terrorize their fellow students, why would they not be willing to lie on a voter registration form? It's clear that our election process is worth protecting. It is our responsibility as members of Congress and concerned leaders of citizens groups and organizations who care about the integrity of our system and our elections. It is our duty to ensure that this is done.
Yeah. I mean, this is how and why.
One of the things that really bothers me is all we are asking is for a fair and honest election. I would think that most of America would come out and do that, because if it was a fair and honest election and Biden wins, we have to deal with it. We did with Obama, right? We dealt with it for 8 years of him. We had to live with it.
Yeah.
It's not happening that way anymore.
Well, that's right.
Because there's no way this man wins in a free and fair election.
And this is why voter ID is such a big issue to them. That's why they can't have it. I don't know who the third. We've got folks there. You'll see who they are. But let's hear another one on this.
Democracy in America is under attack. It's a multifaceted attack being waged by Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress. We see that attack in the form of censorship of conservative speech, the weaponization of law enforcement against peaceful American citizens for having conservative or Christian beliefs, and we see it in the lawfare against President Trump in New York City, in Georgia, in D.C., and in many other places all across this country where the power of the state is being used to crush political dissent. But there's one more form of radical attack on democracy, and that is the combination of a wide-open border and obstruction of any effort to verify the citizenship of who votes in our elections. These things are all combined in effort to end our Republican form of government. When you have no border, when you have millions of unvetted foreigners from over 150 countries pouring into this nation with no way, no legal ability, let alone a legal requirement to verify that they are citizens, you are inviting grand foreign interference in our elections on an unprecedented scale for the sole purpose of helping Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. When this bill comes to a vote, it will be the most important vote that most members of Congress take in their entire careers. If Hakeem Jeffries and his Democrat members try to kill this bill, they will be declaring to the whole country that they want Joe Biden's illegals to vote in this election. That will be what they are declaring. And every American citizen should pay attention and take note, because this will be a dividing line from which there will be no return, no going back, no hiding, no erasing your record. Either you believe in an American nation for American citizens or you don't. That is what this vote will show. And I encourage every single reporter here today to treat this with the gravity and gravitas it deserves and it necessitates. Because if this bill does not become law, then Joe Biden and Democrats will have engineered one of the greatest interferences in any democratic nation in the history of the world.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just equally as bad as 2020.
The second one, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was. I think that was Ken Cuccinelli. I think that's how you say his name. I believe that's
very
who that
well
is.
said.
Very well said. And he's absolutely right. Go on.
How many Democrats do you think will vote?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So here you go. You have them on record. It's a win-win. It's a win-win in a way act for the Republicans. They either the bill becomes voted into law, massive win then, and or it doesn't. And now we have the names of those who don't believe that American citizens should be the only ones voting in our elections. Now, what does that matter? It doesn't matter to the Democrat. They know that.
They don't care.
It doesn't matter to them. So what harm's going to come to them? I don't know. I mean, are they going to be voted out? Probably not. Is AOC going to be voted out of her district? She's a buffoon, and people keep voting her in. Schumer's a buffoon.
Way to go, New York.
Yeah.
Got a question for you. You have Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah.
Who is basically Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Keeps her thumb on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you know if there's anything else in this bill? Is it just this bill?
I don't know that.
See, because that's some people's scapegoat.
Oh, I know that. I know that. But to my knowledge, there is no other pork in this bill.
Perfect.
Other than that. That's to my knowledge. I could be wrong.
The bill.
Yeah.
Then this works out very well. But if you put something in there about $10 million to Israel, that's their point to say, we can't pass that bill.
Yeah, I know. Or anywhere. Yeah,
right.
anything else.
So I hope the Republicans were smart enough.
I hope they were
not to put anything else in that bill. Just leave it.
I hope they were too.
That bill.
Yep. Let's listen. I got a couple more.
We're here
for
the simple proposition supported by the vast majority of the American people that only citizens of the United States should vote, that we should have documentary proof, that we should have a system to guarantee that only citizens of the United States vote in federal elections. where we have the clear authority under the Constitution of the United States and our laws as Congress to set the terms of those elections. That is what we are doing. Nothing more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So to me, it's just, that's the simple truth of it all. Yep. Two more, Jim, and then I'm done. Yep. I got this one, and then my last one. The last one's my favorite, and then I'll explain why that is. But
some people will ask, and so I'm going to answer the question preemptively, why is this needed? And you've heard explanations about failures in the system under the NVRA to protect America's elections against non-citizens voting. That dilutes actual citizens' votes. Only 2 and 3 years ago, we were here on Capitol Hill arguing about the Democrats' takeover of elections under H.R. 1. And you need look no farther than their own legislation to see why the SAVE Act is needed. In Section 1012 of that bill, they mandated that states dump millions of aliens onto their voter rolls. Go read the bill. That's what Section 1012 would have done. That's what it was designed to do. You note it says adults, not citizens, be dumped onto their voter rolls with automatic voter registration. In Section 1015 of that bill, it decriminalized those same foreigners from voting in American elections and diluting Americans' votes. Completely decriminalized it. So while it's illegal today, anyone registered under their H.R. 1 would not suffer any penalties. That, of course, is an open invitation for those millions of non-Americans to vote and change the outcome of our elections. And as if that weren't good enough, they couldn't let it sit without intimidating state and local officials with a new crime in Section 1201 to threaten any state or local official who might try to keep their voter rolls clean. And we've seen with Soros prosecutors and with this out-of-control weaponized federal government, they are perfectly willing to prosecute state and local officials who just want to do their job and just want to keep their voter rolls clean to just protect their own communities. The SAVE Act is very much needed, and I'm Ken Cuccinelli, chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, and we're pleased to be here to support this effort. Thank you all.
Yep, sorry, that was Ken Cuccinelli. I apologize. I said that earlier.
It's
the very last.
It's sad that we have to say it, isn't it?
It is.
I mean,
it was almost hard. Well, now we knew they were going to use their names, but how were they going to do it? Well, because they generated a law that just says adults, right? Does it? This is exactly the plan, and this act, I think, will fail, Jim, and then we'll know. Again, what will happen? What is the ramifications of an act like this failing? I hope it doesn't. They need to keep talking and talking about it. This is my favorite one because this is the one that explains that if you're illegal and you do vote, well, here you go.
Good morning. I'm Rosemary Jenks with the Immigration Accountability Project. As Senator Lee said, we estimate that there are upwards of 30 million non-citizens, foreign-born who have not naturalized, and are therefore ineligible to vote under our laws. The problem that we have now is that the Biden administration, there's a Biden executive order that orders all federal agencies to provide voter registration information to everyone they come in contact with.
Everyone.
We also know that state election officials are not permitted to ask for proof of citizenship for applicants who fill out the federal form. So if you're a non-citizen in this country, whether you're an asylum seeker or a foreign student or whatever, if a government official hands you a voter registration form, you're going to think that you need to fill it out. Then you are going to be unlawfully registered to vote. If you vote, it is a deportable criminal offense. So I want to just do a little public service announcement here and say, if you are not a citizen of the United States of America, you are ineligible to vote. And if you vote, you are committing a criminal, deportable offense. We need to pass the SAVE Act and secure our elections. Thank you.
Do you think the DOJ is going to prosecute that?
No, of course not. But I'm glad they said it that way. Now, first of all, if you're an illegal, you've already committed a criminal deportable act.
Well, first of all, you came in illegally.
you already committed one. You're one step ahead of them. But then to vote, it's going to be very interesting to see. Jim, do you want to, since we're talking about this, and before we get to the absolutely despicable, lying, disbarred prosecutions,
let me add one quick thing to this.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, this article says 10 to 12 million illegals, right? She said there's up above 30. Okay. But the point of the matter is just the 10 to 12 folks, that number equals about the population of 41 individual states.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Correct.
South Dakota doesn't even have 1 million people living in it.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. So again, you got to ask yourself, they're losing their base.
Illegally win by? Yeah, they're losing their base.
Now, and just to kind of go into, they didn't know Trump was going to rerun again at the time they opened the borders and let people come in. They didn't know that he was going to run it. They thought he might, but they did not know he was going to run. Mm-hmm. They lost their base.
Yeah.
Okay, they're losing voter base. They're losing the black vote. They're losing the legal Hispanic vote. They're losing the young generation vote. Mm-hmm. They needed more voters.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so now you add Trump into it. There's where you go.
Gates are wide open. They needed the gates wide open because, listen, if Trump, if the count comes in and Trump has less votes than he did in 2020, ain't no way. He just held a rally where 100,000 people showed up in the deep blue state of New Jersey. 100,000 people showed up at that rally. The guy's more popular now than he was.
And just to go into a little bit, the two racists are part of that rally.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So, well, yeah. Before we talk about that, let's get into this Michael Cohen thing real quick. All right, we'll jump right into that. And so, Michael Cohen, serial liar, disbarred attorney,
disbarred
prisoner,
disbarred, which means he did something bad.
And serial liar, lied in front of Congress, has lied everywhere he's gone, is the prosecution's key witness.
Yeah. And one other quick thing.
The Alvin Braggs case.
Did not get a position within the Trump administration, President Trump administration, and he was mad about it. And according to somebody who was on the stand, suicidal.
Yeah, suicidal.
You don't think there's reason for him to be coming back on him?
Yes. Anyway. Former lawyer Michael Cohen testified Monday that he would often lie to others for former President Donald Trump because it, quote, was needed in order to accomplish the task, he says. Is he lying now, or did he lie before, or does he lie every time he talks, or is he... First of all, so here's my big thing about this. Michael Cohen. Nobody likes him. Nobody likes him.
But
he's not well liked on either side of the aisle.
You know, running for Congress.
Yeah, not he is not liked, and he is their key witness. Now, folks, remember, he has been disbarred. He was lied to Congress. He went to jail for that. And how many people now are just sitting there saying that, what is the only way the prosecution could even tie hush money into this case is by Michael Cohen's the only one who can.
Yep.
And he's an absolutely disaster of a witness. So Jim asked the question, is anybody on that jury, is they going to be able to get 12 people to vote guilty on this? I can't wait till cross-examination because Michael Cohen is going to be, he's making TikTok videos with shirts with Trump behind bars. And all the while Trump's got a gag order and can't say anything about the case. So they've already just completely dismantled Stormy Daniels. They dismantled the National Enquirer's editor, whatever that, if that's what it was, I think it was National Enquirer. I can't remember. What are they get? They're gonna have a field day. They just can't wait to get to Cohen on the cross examination. So what happens, Jim? What do you think? Do you think 12 jurors are going to find to vote him? Or do you think it's going to be a hung jury? And then
it'll be a hung jury because there's somebody on that just hates Trump and they refuse that. It'll be a hung jury.
No. There's somebody on there that actually likes Trump, which will make it a hung jury. You remember, you got 12 very
I understand. You're
liberal,
not going to have. He's not. What I mean is, he's not.
More people do not like Trump on that jury.
Right. He's not going to be found not guilty. 12-0.
Correct.
That's not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hung jury.
Yep, it's going to be hung. Then what happens after a hung jury? As I
try again, but I wouldn't do it if I was them.
Yeah, I think that's what they try to do. I think this is it. This literally is keeping him off the campaign trail for 3 months. You know, and that's the whole point of it,
folks. Even if you don't follow law, even if you don't understand it, you're looking at that. Even people on CNN, they're law experts. Said Stormy Daniels was the best thing to happen for the defense. I mean,
yet until now, I think.
And Cohen is going to be even worse.
Oh,
because all they got is a video or a recording audio that said, "We need to get that money," and Trump said, and I quote, "What money?"
Yeah, that's all they got. That's all he got. And he admits to Cohen admits to secretly recording these conversations with Trump. I mean, like, this guy is scumbag personified. That's all he is. He's, you know, attorneys in general have a bad rap and a bad name, and rightfully so for the most part. This guy's like the bottom feeder of them all. And he's their key witness, and that's happening. So we'll keep you all up to date on that. But yeah, it's all to keep Trump from campaigning. You want to see what it looks like when Trump can't campaign, Jim? This is what it looks like when Trump can't.
Good morning. I'm Rosemary Jenks with the Immigration Accountability Project.
Nope, wrong thing.
Senator Lee said,
I was going to say
estimate that there are upwards of 30 million non-citizens.
Wrong thing.
So foreign-born who
I
have
saved
not
the wrong thing,
naturalized
Jim.
And are therefore
Shoot, I thought I had.
You've heard it first on Two Guys, One Coup. President Trump is transgender.
Yeah.
You're going to think that you need
I don't
to
know if
fill
this
it
is going to
out.
switch us back to
Then
us
you are
or it's going to.
unlawfully
I have to let it
registered
play
to
out.
vote.
That's just what
If
happened.
you
I know.
vote,
It's okay.
it
I
is
saved
a
it wrong.
Hey, nothing wrong with hearing this again.
Offense.
No, it's
So
completely
I want to just do a little
completely
public service
unprofessional.
announcement here and
I
say,
had
if
that
you
thought.
are
I
not
had
a
that saved
citizen
properly.
of the United States of America,
Yeah, we know.
You are ineligible to vote, and if you vote, you are
Stay
committing
tuned for
a criminal, deportable offense.
Yep. Stay tuned
We need
for.
to pass the SAVE Act and
Stay tuned
secure
for
our elections.
regular
Thank
scheduling
you.
programming. Well, folks, that wasn't it. I thought I had the video of Trump in Wildwood, New Jersey. That's where it was, where he drew 100,000 people. So that's what it looks like at a Trump when he can't campaign. So unbelievable, Jim.
100.
Sorry about that, folks, on the video thing. Thought I had that one. I clearly didn't, Jim. It's been a day. Anyways, what do you got to talk about, Jim?
Well, the federal judge upset some people, and I'm starting to have a little bit more faith in some federal judges. Yep. Can I go into this right now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I'm fooling the whole show, so go ahead.
I screwed up the first time too, man, because you asked me what SAVE stood for, and SAVE.
Welcome to early in the week. I told you our Thursday shows are way better.
Well, there's a federal judge tossed a Democrat-funded lawsuit. Folks, again, listen to this. Funded a lawsuit, a Democratic lawsuit, to remove witness requirement on absentee ballots.
What? Say it again.
The Democrats wanted to remove the witness portion of the ballot. You have to, because when you get an absentee ballot in Wisconsin, you have to verify it. You have to have somebody that witnesses it. Democrats were trying to overturn that. So the lawsuit filed by the law firm of Democratic election lawyer Mark Elias sought to cancel the witness requirement for voters who cast absentee ballots on the grounds that it violated the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So you don't have to have evidence. You just have to bring up those two right there. That's it. You don't have to have proof. Just bring those two up right there.
Just bring those up and that's it, right? And it's done.
In a scathing ruling, U.S. Judge James Peterson said that the demand simply does not make any sense. Under plaintiff's interpretation, every witness would have to determine the voter's age, residence, citizenship, criminal history, whether the voter is unable or unwilling to vote, whether the voter has voted and at another location or is planning to do so. Folks, everything that I just read there happened in Wisconsin in 2020.
Yeah,
you saw it. You saw the people go into these retirement communities. They didn't even know what they were doing. They couldn't.
No.
They were dementia patients. They had no clue. Yep. But everything, that's what the Democrats are trying to do, folks. And here's another example. Why remove the witness? And then why throw in civil rights?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand.
The ACL
I give up.
will be involved here soon.
So anyway,
we'll be involved in this one soon. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
all
good
about job to the federal judge. Good job.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. Good job. At that point, they must have had a conservative judge, federal judge. Take a look at that. Did they say at all? Because they say that a lot. I don't know if they said he was a conservative or Trump appointed or Bush appointed.
No, they did not. It was a federal judge. Okay, which is fine. I don't care to know.
I don't care to know. I don't care to know. Just do the right thing.
Because you shouldn't be conservative or liberal. It's the law. It's the Constitution.
It's the law.
That's it right there. That's it.
Yeah. That is the law, Jim. That's crazy. Speaking of that, I just want to go into some. Trump is, they said, leading now in 5 battleground states, or toss-up swing states, all of which Biden won in 2020. A new set of polls reveals surveys by the New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer, not exactly right-leaning.
Oh, come on.
Found that Trump was more popular than Biden among voters in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. With Biden, while Biden led among voters in only one battleground state, the one you just mentioned, Wisconsin. So here it has. Here's the numbers, Jim. Pennsylvania,
this just
Trump
in
47. Pennsylvania 47, Trump 47, Biden 44%. Arizona, Trump 49, Biden 42. Michigan, Trump 49, Biden 42. Georgia, Trump 49, Biden 39. And we'll tell you why some of those are, where's the rest of them going? Nevada, Trump 50, Biden 38. So look for your counting to stop this election in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada, folks.
And the sad thing is, I think you can probably double those numbers.
I think you can, but you're wondering, well, wait a second. 47 and 44, that don't add up to 100. Wait, I'm no mathematician. I ain't no Elon Musk or Stephen Hawkins. How the hell do you come up with these?
Well, always remember. Yeah. Our statistics are 150%, 100% of the time.
Yes, our statistics are 100% correct, 60% of the time. Jim, that's because the rest is going to your good friend and the world's good friend, Mr. RFK Jr. That's that or undecided. So they're either voting him and all that. So all the RFK people out there, all those that are, even ones that are listening, they're like, well, I kind of like what RFK's. I don't know how you do, but anyways, and I know it's not.
Every once in a while he'll say something, but you got to look at the whole thing.
Well, he's got a good stance on pharmaceuticals. He's got a good. I mean, I understand that, but he's a Democrat, folks. He's a Democrat. He's a liberal Democrat. He cannot stand the fact that you own a firearm, Jim. That is already well documented. Something else now documented. Sage Steele. Right? I think that's who it is, right? Is that her name? Sage?
Awesome. Yep.
Awesome. Interviewed RFK, and the big champion cry from the left is women's rights and abortion and all that, right? That's right. Where we want to take all the women's rights away. We just ban abortions across the nation, right? Well, here's RFK's feeling on abortions. Let's listen to this, Jim. Hopefully it's the right video.
But so in other words, keeping it as is with Roe versus Wade having been overturned and leaving it up to the states to determine if and when a woman can have an abortion?
No, I wouldn't leave it to the states.
You wouldn't, right?
No, I would.
You would say completely. It's up to the woman.
My belief is we should leave it to the woman. We shouldn't have government involved,
even if it's full term.
Even if it's full term.
Okay, and I think.
Bingo. There you have it, folks. That's the fake RFK. Say one thing and then say another thing. Even if it's full term, it should be left up to the woman, not even the states. No, just up to the woman in general, even if it's full term. You get a woman pregnant, Jim, which would be a miracle probably at this stage, but you get a woman pregnant.
It would for many reasons, but yes.
For many reasons, but you get a woman pregnant, and that woman is carrying that child up to you could be married, Jim, to this woman. I'm not saying just out of wedlock or just in an affair or anywhere else. You're married, you carry that child up to 9 months, your wife does, and she decides, I don't want it anymore. That's it. That's what RFK is saying you can do. You can murder that baby right before it's born, full term. That's what you want to vote for, independence? That's what that's going to sway you? A vote for RFK is a vote for Biden. Just keep that in mind.
Well, yeah.
It is. It's a vote for Biden.
The funny thing is, I believe it is going to hurt.
It will take away from
Biden voters.
But, yeah, go ahead.
More. But it is going to take away from Trump as well.
Yeah, it will.
The never-Trumpers will vote for him because they're not voting for Biden.
Absolutely vote for him.
But it is. But more voters will leave Biden to vote for
100%.
him. But, the one thing how many times? First thing, Jack. When is a life alive? When is that baby alive? When is it? Okay. Now, you and I have our own opinions, but
sure,
most of these wackos are going to tell you when they take their first breath.
Yeah. Or 16 years old.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't. Anyway, I can't wrap my hand around it. I can't wrap my fingers around it.
I think a life is a life. I think a life is a life, and you can allow abortions up until the day after they sign their acceptance to George Washington University. You can abort them.
Well, I think California's heading that way. I'm telling you.
Well, that's heading that way, and it's right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the real RFK. I just wanted to kind of go into that to just let you know what we were talking about there. Jim, I want to hear about these two black racists. I'm so sick of black racists.
It's incredible, man.
Oh wait, I think this is different, right? Than what we're thinking.
No, they're going to be. Wait till they come out against them at the rally you were talking about.
In New Jersey,
NFL players joined President Trump.
That's right.
Former NFL players joined him on the stand. New York Giants NFL Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor.
Yep.
And Super Bowl MVP O.J. Anderson joined Trump.
Yep.
On the rally Saturday night, expressing their love for their golf partner and vowing to never vote Democrat again.
Correct. Yep.
So they went up to say, I wanted to say I grew up a Democrat, and I've always been a Democrat until I met this man right here. Taylor said of Trump on stage at the rally, which officials claimed brought a record-setting crowd of 80,000 to the famed boardwalk. I'll tell you what, he will not have to worry about nobody in my family ever voting for a Democrat again. Anderson, his teammate, said, "Don't you just love this guy?" He said, "I tell you, it has been a very exciting day. You guys, not one person left here." So everybody stayed. Everyone was waiting.
People camped out overnight.
So these are black men, folks.
All
right. Now, I don't know. This is not possible because Sonny hosted.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard that. The host of The View said there is no way Tim Scott or President Trump are going to bring black people into Trump's side. You're right. They're not black, according to Joe Biden.
According
They're not
to
black.
Joe Biden. Yep. That's
So,
right.
Guys,
that's right.
This is why they're cheating. All right. This is why.
This is
stop
why
it. I don't want to hear. No, and if anybody asks why, and I figured it out, they're not bringing it up right now, because right now we're not hearing Trump say that your election in 2020 was stolen from you. We're trying to fix what happened now, right? We're trying to fix now. We know what happened then.
Correct.
We know it. All right. So let's move on. This is how we're going to fix it now. But
correct.
These numbers are wrong.
These numbers are wrong.
I'm sorry. There's no way Michigan. There's no way Michigan is going towards. And New York, Kathy Hochul might have just sealed the deal.
Oh, I know.
You're
right.
Trump in New York.
That right.
New York, folks, with that comment about black people not knowing how to use computers.
You saw the video I sent you after that, right? I'm not playing it on the air, but is that not one of the best? Was that not funny?
Classic.
I mean,
folks,
guys,
if you don't know what we're talking about, look for it on TikTok.
Look for it on TikTok.
All you gotta do, Kathy Hochul.
Yep.
Black computer.
Just
computer. That's all you gotta do.
That's all you gotta do. Once you do that, and then you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
So anyway, more African Americans.
One of the funniest videos I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, they're coming over, and
they are.
You and I have been saying this before we even started doing the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If people would just realize who the real racists are.
That's right.
It's not us. It's not conservatives at all.
Yep.
It's the Democrat Party because they want to keep you where you're at. We want you to come up.
Keep it down. Democrat plantation, as we call it, Jim, you and I.
We will give you a helping hand up. We don't want to give you a handout. And that goes for any race. That goes for any color. That goes for any. Now, I'm kind of opposite of some people. Okay. I do believe that there should be some for the spouse that loses their spouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have children and your spouse, I feel the government needs to take care of you for a short term, not for the rest of your life.
Well, there should be something.
Okay.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah, but there needs to be something.
But
here's the problem. Those people are always ones that get screwed.
Oh, I know.
Because the other ones are taking advantage of it.
Yep. That's right. You got that right. Jim, there's a secret to Republican victory in 2024, and it's hiding in plain sight. So this is from Newt Gingrich, okay, whom I don't always agree with, okay, but I do respect him, and I do agree with him more than I don't. But this is interesting. Many Republicans will be shocked to learn that Election Day 2024 happens long before November 5th. In fact, it hurts the Republicans' cause and the elections of President Donald Trump and House and Senate Republicans to focus narrowly on November 5th. The first election dates, Jim, and this is important, and those listening in these states, this is very important. The first election dates are September 16th in Pennsylvania, and then September 20th in Minnesota and South Dakota. The next election days are September 23rd in Mississippi and September 24th in Missouri. There are 43 other states and the District of Columbia that follow with their early voting dates. Only Alabama and New Hampshire do not have early voting. Here's an example of why that matters. In 2022, the Republican Senate campaign in Pennsylvania was focused on Election Day in November. The campaign did not begin advertising until long after early voting had started. Ronna McDaniel was in charge of all that, remember? As a result, 40% of Pennsylvanians had already cast their ballots before the first major Republican ad had aired. 40%. And you know how close that Senate race was between Mehmet Oz and Fetterman. The pattern was not unique to that race. Republicans have a history of failing to get the vote out early. This has a compounding negative effect. First, it means Republican turnout on election day must be dramatically higher. Typically is higher, but dramatically higher to make up for the numbers of Democratic votes already in the ballot box and the illegals in the ballot box. Second, and probably more important, it means that Republican candidates have not been able to focus on the low propensity voters, those who are least likely to turn out, which is a big, there's a lot of those. The Democrats have focused on early voting in large part because they want to be able to identify everyone who has not turned out yet. and they need to know how many numbers they need at midnight on
Yep.
election day.
That's
That way
exactly
they can
right.
focus on phone calls, direct mail, text messages, and even visits to remind those voters that they should vote. They keep it going until the people vote and their name comes off the list. They have an amazing ground game, the Democrats. So much so they're standing right at the border to hand them voter registration.
Actually,
the long campaign approach has proven for the last decade that it is more likely to win close elections than the focus on a federally designated official election day. So keep that in mind, folks. I mean, we're talking a couple months before the election. This is when it starts. So hopefully,
you think here's what I think, and it's just my opinion. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the Republicans' ground game is going to be much, 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 much better this year. Yeah, we got different leadership.
I do too.
We have different leadership.
Yep, I do too.
And the voters are figuring it out.
Well, they are.
I vote early.
Seeing this.
I vote early because I don't like the lines on election day.
I see.
So
I
vote
love
early.
myself. I love the whole aspect of voting day.
I think it should
effing
be.
Day.
Let me rephrase that. It should be voting day. It should be.
Okay. Yeah.
But because I don't want to deal with the long lines, I'll vote early.
I love the long lines. I love talking to everybody in line. I love seeing it. But of course, I live in an extremely red area. It's a little bit different. You know, I'm not sitting there trying to fight through the Black Panthers and the Antifas to get through. But
because of early voting.
Yeah.
Outside of people living in another country or people in another country, absentee ballots or military, absentee ballots should not be filled out.
Agreed.
Okay.
I agree.
Then, sorry, Oregon and Washington. Mail-in ballots, no need for them.
No need for them.
You can't control them. There's just no control.
To me, mail-in ballot is for the like you said, strictly military.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, if you're vacationing overseas or you're going to be out of your area on election day, that's your fault. Make other arrangements.
But that's what it's there for.
It should be a day off for everybody. It should be a day off, and it's a national holiday. It's voting day. It's it's the most important day.
You do have some people living abroad. All right, that are still American citizens.
Sorry,
I understand.
No.
Whether it's a kid going to school,
don't care.
That percentage is so small anyway that doesn't matter. Okay,
and it's strict, and I get it, but I don't care.
But where we need to fix this isn't at the election votes. That's not where it needs to be fixed. It's we need counters. We need
you're right.
people
it's
like
not who votes, it's who counts the votes. We know that.
We need them at these locations in Oregon, in Washington, saying, folks, this name doesn't match with the registration.
Yeah.
Or, folks, this person was born in 1896. How did they vote? You know, I know this sounds stupid, folks, but this happens. Okay.
Yeah.
We are the United States of America.
The beacon for democracy.
China laughs at the way we do elections.
I mean, it's true. Voting day, people. Go there. If you're here in the country on voting day, you go to the poll. It's raining. I need to mail mine in because I don't like long lines. Yeah, I'm whining at you, Jim. For God's sakes, 18-year-olds fought to death so we could have this.
News.
The least we can do is wait in a line.
In the state of Indiana, I have to have an ID to vote.
Well, I know that.
Okay.
I get
so
that.
There's in Indiana, that's not a big deal. Okay. So I don't have a problem with early voting. I really don't. Would I prefer voting day? Absolutely. I think it's the way.
Early voting's stupid.
It's the way
it's not voting month.
But when you make it a little bit easier for people to be able to do something like that, I have no problem.
They have made it easier. You don't need an ID in a lot of states. Yeah, sure.
No, I mean,
it's a lot easier.
But they've made it a heck of a and
often.
You don't even have to be a legal citizen.
As we now
they've made it real easy.
Voting day or sorry, your lazy ass can't.
I don't have a
poll. Sorry.
Again, I don't disagree with you. I think it should be election day.
Jim, I know, and there's people that are in nursing homes that literally still have their senses to them. Of course, in Wisconsin, we saw a bunch that didn't. Then they just said, "Oh, you're voting for Biden. Sign here." And then they sign. I mean, I get that. All right. So every citizen should have the right to vote. I get that. Right. So there's got to be cases. I'm not saying
legal.
I'm not saying take Uncle George and his iron lung down to the booth and make him pull a lever. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying voting day. Love of God, get out there and vote. Jim, what is this bloodbath thing you want to talk about? I don't even get it.
Well, Biden.
How dare you say that word?
Here's how you never hear about Bidenomics. Okay. 70. Well, let's just say Bidenomics is doing wonders. Now, the way they spin this is incredible.
Yeah.
But in 2024, a growing number of well-known brands are being forced to shutter their brick and mortar locations.
Oh.
Which means people lose their jobs. Buildings. Just want to let you know that. In the first 4 months of the year alone, nearly 2,600 store closures have been announced by major retailers such as Macy's,
Fake news.
Walmart, Walgreens,
Walmart of all places,
Foot Locker, and 7-Eleven.
Okay.
This staggering figure, if the trend continues through the rest of the year, would result in a total of 7,800 closures, a significant increase of almost 40% compared to 2023. Again, Bidenomics was in 2023. So just to give you an idea, folks, I'm going to go to this one.
But Jim, they're going to say, can I be devil's advocate? They're going to say online shopping is the reason for this.
Hold on.
Okay.
I was going to get to that.
Damn it,
but
Jim.
Here's what the liberal left in the Biden administration is going. No, you didn't. You're cool. Okay. Is going to say. Because this is how you and I are always in sync here. Well, because they can get it on Amazon. Or they can buy it online, or which is perfectly fine. I agree with you.
Yeah,
people are still losing their jobs.
Yep.
Can. What's that lipstick on a pig thing?
Yeah, anyway. I know. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
So, Family Dollar and Dollar Tree.
People can't even afford $1.
Well, everything there's $1.25 now, I think.
But yeah, it's Family $1.50.
620 stores. 99-cent only stores.
You know, a lot of people rely on that stuff for their laundry products and their soap products, and they do. They rely on that.
Pop. You can buy chips. You can buy stuff there.
What's pop, Jim?
The first, it's some people call it soda, but I've tasted soda and it's terrible. But the first two on here, first two on here, folks, are the Family Dollar and Dollar Tree in 99-cent only stores. These are.
You can't get.
Anyway, that's 99-cent only stores, closing the entire company down. 371 store closures. CVS 315. Now the reason why they're going down is because people are getting their
cigarettes,
medications on Amazon. They're getting there on Amazon or whatever. So, but 7-Eleven, Rite Aid, Express, Walgreens, Macy's, Body Shop, Soft Surroundings, Sleep Number.
Well, Jesus Christ, a $12,000 bed. I don't.
Burlington Stores.
Wow.
Coats. Foot Locker. Nobody can afford those LeBron James $500 shoes made by.
Jeez, I can't imagine that he's
child labor
10 cents in China.
In China, but we are terrible in here.
Yeah,
States.
That's
so
right.
It goes all the way down to Dollar General. Again, another one of those. Ashley, Big Lots, all of these stores. Yeah. So
I mean, we're not talking about the Saks Fifths and the no. All these stuff.
Well, those
we're not talking about those.
San Francisco.
Yeah, I know. But I mean,
but anyway, folks, this is where you don't hear on Bidenomics. You don't hear stuff like this because they're going to spin it.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to convince me that we are at 3.9 or whatever they say inflation,
bullshit. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
Or unemployment or whatever we're at.
There is no way that our if granted in 2022, my favorite one. Did you see that interview?
No. Which one?
It was. If you go back and look, I think it was. Was it CNN? Biden was interviewed,
Yeah.
And they asked them a question about, and you could tell he was not comfortable answering those questions.
Of course, he's not comfortable.
But they asked him about, he goes, well, it was 9% when I took over.
Oh, yes.
It was 9% in 2022.
Yeah, it was 9. Yeah,
it was 1.9% when he took over.
The guy.
But
of course he wasn't comfortable.
The interviewer fact-checked him.
Yeah.
They fact-checked him.
Yeah, they did.
So again, though, he looked right at the American and said, "You're doing much better now under me than you are under
Yes,
Trump."
you are.
I feel better.
I insist you are.
I can't buy steaks anymore. And I'm getting that 50-50 hamburger now. That after I fry it up, there's nothing left.
Oh no, this is terrible. This is terrible. Jim, you mentioned San Francisco. Can I finish with this today?
That would be awesome.
You know what happened there, Jim. San Francisco is buying vodka shots. The whole town? The city of San Francisco is providing free beer and vodka shots to homeless alcoholics at taxpayer expense under a little-known pilot program. The managed alcohol program, that's in quote, operated by San Francisco's Department of Public Health Service, regimented doses of alcohol to voluntary participants with alcohol addiction in an effort to keep the homeless off the streets and relieve the city's emergency services. So they're giving dope to dope addicts. They're giving alcohol to alcohol addicts. I mean, Jim, if you're a sex addict, well, you better move there because you're gonna get all you can pretty soon. Is this a real thing? It is a real thing.
Most people are homeless.
Yeah,
because they're alcoholics.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
drug addicts. No, most of them are. Nobody can yell at me.
I'm agreeing with you.
Because I know they're always just like abortion. They come in, the poor people.
I know.
Right, there are some.
Yes, I get that.
Most the majority of them choose to be. Yeah. Anyway,
Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
So now,
now we're going to give them free shot. Established in countries such as Canada and Australia, which we know how well they were doing. A managed alcohol program is usually administered by a nurse and trained support staff in a facility such as a homeless shelter. You're going to go in to a homeless shelter as an alcoholic, homeless person. And they're gonna give you a shot of booze. I mean, sign me up. I mean, I'm like, why? What is deterring the alcoholic homeless guy from not being an alcoholic? Involuntary participants with alcohol addiction in an effort to keep the homeless off the streets and relieve the city's emergency service. We did that. In a facility such as a homeless shelter or a transitional or permanent home, and is one method to minimize harm for those with alcohol use disorder. The California Health Care Foundation explains in a 2020 article describing the pilot program. So oddly enough, this came out right at COVID time. The San Francisco Managed Alcohol Program, or MAP, was established during the COVID-19 pandemic to prevent vulnerable homeless people who were placed in isolation in hotel rooms from suffering from alcohol withdrawal. I'm sorry. But the program, which started with 10 beds, has since expanded to a 20-bed program that operates out of a former hotel in Tenderloin. Well, I didn't know that was a city or an area of San Francisco. It sounds good. In Tenderloin, with a $5 million annual budget that San Francisco Chronicle reported. This is the Alice, I don't know her last name, Mogamahamian, the nurse manager of the managed alcohol program and the San Francisco Sobering Center, explained in an October presentation that nurses provide clients with a motel room. This is sounding like a fantasy almost to me. 3 meals a day and enough alcohol to meet their addiction needs, but keeping someone at a safe level of intoxication. Nurses are taking you into hotel rooms and feeding you and giving you booze. Hot.
I thought we were supposed to help them get off.
Oh, you're helping them get off. Not alcohol.
Well, off the alcohol.
I mean, you got nurses coming.
Get off as the sex addicts coming soon to a store near San Francisco.
Yeah, when are they going to have a nurse come in and relieve? I need enough sex in one day to meet my addiction needs. What? Is that far-fetched? That could happen?
Nancy Pelosi's from that area, by the way. Just like,
oh God. That would cure my sex addiction.
Okay. You know what? I'm not going to say it because I'm going to say, please tell me that the majority of the people don't think this is a good idea. But I didn't think majority of the people would think that killing a baby up to the time that they were born was a bad idea.
I'd say the homeless are all for this. I'd say the homeless liberals, alcoholics are cheering this on.
I just don't get anymore.
I don't get
it. There are moderate Democrats still out there. Not running the country.
Are there?
Not running the country. Okay.
Well,
there's still voting moderate Democrats out there that you can't tell me that you like how your party has just been taken over.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
And
You're
if
right.
you do like it,
mm-hmm.
that's your problem. But
that
why
is
am I
your
having
problem?
this up?
Yeah.
There's a lot of countries in this world that you can go live in and be a socialist. There's a lot of countries. There's not many countries that we can live freely like we do here.
Nope. You're absolutely right. Jim, some headlines before we go. My mouse stopped working, so that's good news. I'm having a really great day. Convicted liar Cohen testifies about secret Trump recordings. So we already went over that. We'll find out more about that. Can't wait. Convicted liar. That's exactly what he is.
Well, he is.
Yeah. Former White House squawk box, your girlfriend, Jen Psaki, forced to edit book after misleading claim about Biden.
There's a shock.
That's in the headlines today. Jim, you got any other headlines before we call it a day today?
One quick thing. CNN's Fareed Zakaria, who is starting to sound, he's probably going to be fired here pretty soon from CNN.
Yeah, this is like the second story you've
done. Yeah, whoa. Well, he's not happy. Well, I think he's not happy with the way the whole thing in New York is going with President Trump because he realizes there's nothing here. That's the good thing about it. But I think the reason why he's doing it is, folks, we're going to have him as president if we're not careful. So the whole thing is Joe Scarborough said.
Yeah.
When he wanted everybody to turn off the show. Well, they have. He just doesn't realize that if it wasn't for Rachel Maddow, who's a complete and total buffoon, that network would be gone.
Correct.
I mean, let's face it, she's saving that network.
Yep.
But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. So he's probably going to be, his name might save him.
Yeah, maybe.
But if it was my name, we're done.
Oh, well, yeah, that's it. So Jim, is that it for today's show? Are we?
Yeah, we could go on a lot longer.
Oh, there's all so much going on, but we'll be back. We'll be back to update you with the second show this week. I still have a special episode I got to put out there, so I apologize, John, and if he's listening, I do apologize.
Yeah,
I have been up to my earlobes in stuff, so I will get that out there. Sorry for some of the mix-ups today. That was Jim distracts me sometimes, and from that I get a little messed up. So I don't blame Jim. I take responsibility for myself. I am not a liberal. I will wait.
Yeah, sometimes being a liberal is not too bad, though, right?
Sometimes
it's not my fault.
Sometimes
I hit that car. It's not my fault. It's the road's fault.
We just found out being homeless in San Francisco is going to be a blast. It's a party a minute out there. Jim, thank you for your contribution. Wayne Black, thank you again for coming on. Please like, follow, and share on Rumble. You can hear us on Spotify and Apple and anywhere you hear podcasts. Remember our friends at Grit Gear. The Warrior Shield Foundation, Lock and Load Coffee, Freedom Ring Apparel. Remember those people. Don't forget Stand in the Gap. That's the foundation for Sarah Maccabee, who you heard on our last episode. Thank you for the attention to that. Please follow, and share that episode specifically. She needs our help as well. Until then, Jim, until Thursday, I am done, and we will talk soon.
Bye.
Goodbye, sir. Goodbye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for 2 Guys, 1 Coup. That's the number 2 Guys and the number 1 Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the 2 Guys, 1 Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.